Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Wander to the Edge. My name is Adam Asher from the Edge of Adventure.
I'm Zan from Where Gals Wander.
And Zan, you have had a busy week. First of all, you made it to the weekend, but I know that the week was busy. You and the fam had some important things to celebrate this week.
We did. I celebrated my 24th wedding anniversary and did a little weekend getaway up the Pacific coast to Pismo Beach. And then Wednesday, of course, the biggest day of the year, at least from what she considers, it was my daughter Anya's 18th birthday.
Oh, wow. Well, first of
Yes.
all, a happy belated birthday to Anya. Congratulations to you and Greg as well. And also, congrats on making it to 18, because if she's 18, she's an adult. That means your work is over. You can relax now.
Yeah, we kept telling her, like, this is it. You're an adult. Like, fun is all gone. Like, now it's nothing but responsibilities. Of course, we told her all this as we took her to Disneyland, so it didn't have quite the same impact, but that's where we went to celebrate her birthday.
And
So,
I heard that when she was at Disneyland, she was all ears.
yes.
Well, look, she's 18. She's an adult. She can start picking up the tab. This is great news.
Yes.
And congratulations. So it's all downhill from here.
Yeah.
Speaking of great news, Zan, you have been encouraging me and asking me, about getting the audio version done of the
Yes.
podcast for Wander to the Edge. And I've got some good news. We are probably just a matter of days away from being able to launch the Wander to the Edge audio podcast. And then that'll be available on Spotify, Apple, Google, and all that fun stuff. And give me just another couple of days, and we're going to be able to launch that. So stay tuned to the social media accounts for the official announcement. But we have quite an archive, Zan. A lot of great folks.
Yeah, because this is episode 67, I believe. And I mean, just all those chats with friends who travel. I mean, speaking of travel, great to listen to when you're on road trips or in the airport. I mean, this is going to be great.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it, and a little bit of a big project, especially when you wait to start it until you have nearly 70 episodes. And I've got a lot of free time, so I'm just going to work on that over the next few days and get that done. So anyway, that's coming, and we will announce that coming up shortly. So anyway, but we have a great guest today as well.
Yes. So, speaking of episode 67, we have Lisa Rivera from Following the Rivera. She is going to be chatting with us all the way from Italy. So, kind of excited, to have somebody outside the US kind of join us. It doesn't happen too often. We're going to learn all about life in Italy and her adventures right here on Wander to the Edge. Hey, Lisa.
Hi,
Welcome.
guys. Thank you for having me. Thank you. I feel honored.
Great to have you on the show, Lisa Rivera
Thank
from
you.
followingtherivera.com.
Yes, that's right.
So, your handle, as we like to call it, or your account or your platform, and just to make a note, so you are on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're everywhere. But I always like to hear a little bit about how you got started.
Yeah, sure. So basically, to explain the name, so Rivera is obviously my last name. So it's essentially following me on my journeys, on my adventures, whatever they be, big or small. So I started the website actually quite a long time ago as a hobby, as many bloggers do. It's just something. I used to work for Parliament. So we traveled a lot for work, and I used to love to write. So one day I just thought, let's just combine the two together, and why not? But it was only until 3 years ago that I started taking it more seriously. I don't know why. I just started to think, oh, hey, I was getting some comments on my work and positive feedback. So I thought, okay, let me try to do this properly. So yeah, it's an adventure. It's a lot of hard work, but essentially it's just myself managing all of my accounts. So sometimes you do get that blogger burnout, but yeah, at the end of the day, it is good fun and it is rewarding.
Zan, I think that's what I have. I have blogger burnout.
Don't even. But Adam, you're a little different. You chronicle your travels, not necessarily in word form. You do it much more from like a video standpoint and photography.
Well,
I'm trying to give you an excuse.
Yeah.
Thank you. But I'm just, in my respect to the two of you and to any and everybody that blogs. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy. That thirst for content that these platforms have, they need more content, more stuff. And to be able to sit down and tell that, it takes a lot of work, a lot of forethought, a lot of effort, and you both do it so very well. However, let's not make this about me. I would love to make it about me, but let's don't. Lisa, you have, I know, sort of three, I almost think of like three headquarters. You're out of New York, you're out of London, you're out of Italy, but you're in Italy today. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we were back in London, but then we came back to Italy because of the pandemic. So things were just getting really bad back in London. So we decided to come back to our base here in the north. So we live primarily in a city called Vicenza, which is in the north of Italy. It's the closest bigger city is Verona and Padova, and a little bit further is Venice. So as you can imagine, it's really nice to be able to visit those places when we can. But I'm also a big fan of actually going to smaller, lesser known towns and cities. So it's something I like to document on my travels and hopefully try and be a kind of ambassador for the country. Not that anyone's paying me from Italia, but it's nice to be able to introduce and share my stories and share places that not necessarily Rome or Milan. So I really, really enjoy doing that.
One thing that I love about your blog is that you make it very user-friendly in the sense that like places to go. I love the article about places maybe perhaps to not focus on or to skip. And just your general practical tips about visiting Italy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously living here, it's something that it's valuable. It's something that you can't find in some books or online, because obviously people are more positive about their experiences. But when you do live somewhere, it's something that it's a day-by-day thing. You understand the culture, you understand the behavior, the patterns. And so it's really something that I feel confident that I can really say to you, hey, don't do this, or try to avoid this, or going here, and so on. So it's something that I feel I can provide some kind of insight into visiting.
Lisa, let's talk languages for a minute. People who know I have this interest in languages and find them fascinating. You obviously speak English. We speak American, by the way. And you speak English with this beautiful accent, but I know you also have interest in other languages. Bring us up to speed on that.
Yeah, so of course I speak Italian. I have also Spanish. And within the Italian dialect, I'm also beginning to learn some Sicilian and some Veneto, which they're both really interesting because they're basically obviously based on Italian, standard Italian, but there are just slight variations. And of course the pronunciation. So just to give you one example of Sicilian, they would say Amunini, which basically means let's go. So it's not something you hear all the time, but it's more of a slang kind of way of saying. And in Veneto, they would say, for example, to eat well, they would say mangiar ben. So that's a slight variation of the Italian mangiare bene. So it's similar, but there's variations. But yeah, I find language really, really interesting, and it just opens so many doors. And I mean, that's obviously a given, but it's just something that you really take for granted when you travel. You know, when you can speak another language, the locals' faces just light up, and I love that. I love being able to surprise people, and you know, and if you know their slang and their dialect, even better.
One thing that I'm thinking about that you mentioned is just the fact that with you living there, that you have such a different experience than just going to visit and leaving, and really understanding that culture at a whole other level. And then thinking about slang and how much of our true culture really plays into the slang and the pop culture and everything else so that you can um, connect, right? Like connect with
Mm.
other people and have that shared experience. Um, Adam, I know you don't like to talk about yourself because you're just, such a,
Pretty humble guy. I'm pretty
yeah,
humble.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But I don't have that shared experience. Like you have gone and done something similar more with the like Central America experiences and that you've had. I'm just wondering if you can relate to that as well.
I can and I do, and I agree. I mean, I think she said it very, very well. I mean, there's something just magical about that moment when they when you're in someone else's country, you're the outlier, you're the foreigner, and when you're able to speak their language, and for me it's Spanish or Portuguese primarily, a little bit of French, I would not claim it. I mean, that's kind of I just never used it enough. I need to practice it. I say, like, if I lived somewhere in France, for example, for 6 months or a year, I'd pick it back up. But um, for me, yeah, and it's the language, it's the understanding of the culture, it's the understanding of who they are. So it could even go as, and I don't really have the experience of the different dialects in Spanish per se, as she's talking about with Italian, but when you're in a part of Mexico or part of Central America, and you're able to speak Spanish and use the words that they use there, and it's a part of understanding the culture. And the best part about it is just that it's this acceptance of who they are.
Mm.
And that's, I think, maybe Lisa would agree with that or could expound on that. But it's that feeling of, would they know that you see them?
Mm.
And I think that's we all want to be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. I would 100% agree with you, Adam. It's something that you are right in their tribe, and it doesn't matter that you're not really one of them as such. You know, the fact is that you're communicating and connecting through their language. That means a lot more. That means so much more, and more than likely, people are very, very happy to welcome you in and just want to know more about you when you do that.
And I think also, certainly, being, growing up in the U.S., where we're this melting pot and we have all these different cultures and languages that are here, people that are here, people that live here, their families now live here from around the world. And I think they get used to the fact that if you're a native from the U.S., meaning, you grew up speaking English, the 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 burden is always on the other people to learn English, and they do, and that's how we are able to share and have our shared culture, and all that's wonderful, of course. But to I always like sort of breaking the stereotype a little bit of the American, and being an American, and I'm an American, and I'm proud of my country. I'm proud of where I came from and my heritage, but to also be able to embrace who they are and learn from them. And whether I'm in their country speaking their language, or if I'm lucky enough and I meet someone here who, perhaps their family, they speak Spanish or whatever, and they live here. This is home for them, but I have that added connection with them just to be able to speak that language. So I'm a big proponent of it. I know it's not easy to learn a language, but I think anybody that's ever done it has um, knows what a beautiful thing that is.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So, but just to kind of wrap up that portion of the program, how many languages? And we talking for you? How many you mentioned? 4, 5?
Well, 3 official, and then the 2 dialects, which I'm not again claiming yet because I'm not yet there. But little by little, I'll get there.
So, if we're headed to Italy, to Italia, as you said, for the first time, what would be some tips for someone who has a week or 2 weeks to spend in Italy?
I mean, first question I would ask is really, it depends what kind of travel you want to see. So why I say that is because, of course, you've got the big cities. So, of course, many people like to go to Rome or to Milan or to Florence, and completely understandable. It's just that if you want to focus your time on seeing the cities and the architecture and the art, I wouldn't try to cram in too many places in one go. Number one, because of geography, of course. It's like Rome is in the middle, Florence is a bit to the north, and Venice is to the northeast. So also you have like the mountains and the Dolomites, then you have the beaches, then you have the islands. So for me, it's really, I know it's difficult, but if you have just 1 week and you've never been, I think I would recommend to see either Rome or Florence, just because, stick to a city, stick to it. It gives you a good taste of what you can expect for the next time. But of course, if you just prefer to go to like the south, if you want to see Puglia, Sicily, if you want to go straight into kind of the deep Mediterranean, then that's also doable. But don't try for 1 week, don't try to cram in too many places, because it's not enjoyable. It's not enjoyable. So that would be my top advice. Decide what kind of travel you really want to do when you come to Italy.
So, Lisa, in the beginning, we shared kind of your home bases: New York, Sicily, London. So, how did you choose those 3? And then even those 3 cities have their own culture in and of themselves. How do you sort of balance bouncing back and forth from all 3?
Well, so basically, London, we're really more London, Italy. Those are our main bases because we're not American. So when we have a base in New York, but we obviously just go for a vacation, but we have a base there and we have friends and family there and so on. So that is that's the easier one to say, that we're not really based there. But between London and Italy, of course, it's just 1 hour and 40 minutes from Venice to London. So it's a very nice flight. And yeah, I mean, the cultures are different, of course, like the weather is completely different, but it's culture-wise, you just adapt. So for example, when we're back in Italy, it's time for aperitivo. It's like a drink you have before dinner. I mean, in London, you do the same thing, but they just don't call it that, if that makes sense. You just go for a drink after work. But here in Italy, we eat much later. So in the north, we eat around 8 o'clock, whereas in the south, you can eat sometimes at 9:30, 10:30. This year, we actually ate dinner at 11 o'clock, which was even too much for me because I was asleep on the table. So that was too much. But it's just, you kind of adapt to both cultures, if that makes sense. You embrace both, and you just, it's weird. You just adapt to them. You just adapt. Obviously, you switch language. It's 1 hour difference between the two. So, but you do it. Obviously, with New York, it's much different. When we go there, it's we're super jet lagged, and but we love being there. We love the energy of New York, and just being there. We really miss it. We really miss it, because the last time we were there was before the pandemic. So January 2020, that was the last time. So who knows when we'll be able to go back next time to the US, but I hope it's not like another year or so. I really hope so.
Lisa, what would be maybe think about maybe what would be a good word? Misconceptions or misunderstandings that people have about Italy. That if you have experience in Italy and you go to Italy, you find out, hey, it's not like this at all.
So I think the first biggest misconception is the weather. People who come to Italy think, oh, the weather is going to always be great, and it's just not true. So just to give you guys an example, back in May this year, we went to Modena, Parma, and Ravenna, these three big cities in Emilia-Romagna, and it rained a lot. And May was really bad because usually spring here is wonderful. It's a really nice time of year. It's perfect, usually weather-wise, to go. And also in late July, we were in Lake Como, and there were storms there I've never seen anywhere in my travels, anywhere in the tropics, in Asia, anywhere as bad as I saw in Lake Como for like 2 days. And there was actually news that where George Clooney's mansion, his villa is, actually it was really hit badly. And I think he was helping with the clear up during that. That's what we read in the paper, which is really nice of him. So yeah, the weather is not as good as people kind of assume it to be. But of course, when it is good, it's wonderful. And it gets very hot. Like today, it's still, I think it was 32 degrees here. So it's still very hot for September. The second biggest misconception is the food. And I know people may think, oh, you're crazy. Italian food is amazing. And it is amazing. But sometimes, of course, when you go out to eat, restaurants, unless you really know the restaurant, like it's a good restaurant that you've got a word of mouth, somebody's recommended it to you, you'd be surprised. It doesn't mean, oh, you're in Italy, the land of incredible food. There is amazing food and wine, but sometimes it can be a little bit hit and miss. And the third biggest misconception I'd say about the landscape, only because people think that, oh, you live in Italy, you must have the views of like Tuscany. You must have the rolling green hills, and and it's just not like that. It's really not. There's many places outside the historic center and outside, of course, the beaches and the dreamy scenes that are just not. They're just normal, if that makes sense. They're apartment buildings, and there are ugly buildings, and it's like you're living in just a country, if that makes sense. There's just like these romanticized versions of Italy, and I understand that because everyone has the same preconceptions. But being here, it's really something that it's not all like outside my window right now. I have a billboard, and it's an ugly it's an ugly billboard. It's not anything exciting, but it's it's not the rolling green hills of Tuscany, unfortunately.
Well, your photos are just amazing. And looking at the photos, I would think that that's what everything looks like over there. But that's a great point. Things can be very different.
I
Based
did
on what we
actually, sorry, Zen,
Nope.
to interrupt. I did take pictures of Lake Como when it was thundery, just to kind of show that reality as well, that, it's not always sunshine and blue skies. But of course, once the blue skies came, I grabbed my camera to take as many pictures as I could.
So
Lisa,
another thing I
go ahead.
want to talk about is your travel lifestyle, because you have a specific method, I guess you would describe it as. So can you share a little bit with us around what flashpacking is?
Yeah, sure. So that's always the number one thing. Like, what is a flashpacker? So flashpackers, and so the way I define it, and it's the way I like to travel, is essentially a posh backpacker. So it's kind of a style of travel in between budget and luxury. because flashpackers tend to have a bit more disposable income. They've passed those days of hostels. They don't want to share their bathrooms with other random 5 other strangers. They want to have a little bit of luxury, but not quite luxury. So they might like to stay in boutique hotels. They might like to stay at a glamping site rather than camping. They're more than likely to bring a trolley, with wheels rather than a backpack. As well, flashpackers, like to indulge in a little bit of wellness travel. So maybe check into a spa, have a little spa weekend. But it doesn't mean necessarily breaking the bank. It's just about treating yourself to, a little luxury. So you might spend 3 nights in a 3-star hotel and then 2 nights in a 4-star or 5-star, just to treat yourself. So it's that kind of balance. So yeah, I think it was always the kind of travel I like to do. In terms of I wasn't that great person sharing with 10 people, and I didn't really enjoy it when I was younger. So I just thought, okay, I kind of elevated my style to flashpacking.
Lisa, everybody, again, not to make it about me, but people that know me know that I like geography and maps and things like that. So I was going to ask you why Italy is shaped like a boot.
Nice. I'll be honest, Adam, I'm not the best person to ask. I should really know this, but I don't know. I'm the worst person to ask this question. I'll have to come back to you on that one.
That's all right. You know what? That's fair. That's fair. But
I like the boots.
There's the proof. I mean, it looks like a boot, and it's not just me that thinks that. But let's ask a question that might be less about fashion and more about Italy. Top 3, and you may have alluded to this, already. But if you were to say, and again, I'm thinking you may kind of answered that. But I was thinking if you were giving advice, top 3 would be what again?
My top 3. Oh, mine. So number 1 it's a bit random, but mine would be Ravenna, a city in Emilia-Romagna. It's a city known for its mosaics. So the cathedral, there are like 5 or 6 incredible sites. So a cathedral, a baptistry, just incredible mosaics that blow your mind. They'll just blow your mind. Plus the city is so charming. The food culture is incredible, and the people are really, really friendly as well. So Ravenna. And then I would say the Dolomites. The Dolomites are really one of my favorite places to visit. So we usually go there during the winter. So you can imagine snow-capped mountains and pretty sunsets. And I'm not a skier or anything like this, but I love to just go there. When it snows, it's really, really pretty. It's amazing. So Ravenna, Dolomites, and what was my other 3rd place? Probably Lecce. Lecce in Puglia is really, really nice. Again, really laid back atmosphere, not pretentious. It's touristy, but it's not as touristy as Rome or Florence or Milan. So I think those would be my top 3 personal favorites.
I want to go everywhere. I want to go everywhere in Italy.
Come.
And again, your blog just brings it so much to life. And you mentioned in the beginning of our chat that this is something that kind of started off as a hobby. So I'm curious, any other hobbies that you have or projects or dreams that you have that you're kind of focusing on as well?
Yeah, actually, I mean, one of my biggest dreams is to write a children's book series. So I've got I think everyone says that. I've got a good idea, I think, that I'm developing. So Yeah, I would really like to. It's just kind of writing a children's book isn't as easy as it sounds. And I'm sure that any children's authors who would read this or who would watch this would really laugh at me and be like, yeah, because it's really not easy. It's you think, oh yeah, they're an audience of young children, right? But there's so much to think about. There's so much to think about, the message that you want to teach, the characters, of course the actual story, animations and this kind of thing. So, but it's definitely something that I really, as a legacy, I'd love to leave behind. Having it written at least like 2 books in a series, that would be really cool.
I have heard that people who write children's books are really in touch with their inner child themselves.
Yeah, that's me. That sounds right.
Okay.
I think the last book I read was a children's book. That's how long it's been. Yeah, so hopefully I'll get around to reading one of these days soon.
Well, maybe if Lisa finally writes the book, you'll finally read
I
another one.
think so. If it's about travel, if it's about travel and geography and maps and language and stuff like that, I'll be all about it. I'll be.
It could be Adam. I'll definitely let you know.
So Lisa Rivera is our guest today, and you can look her up online at followingtherivera.com, followingtherivera.com. And what would you say would be the main concept that you want to convey through followingtherivera.com? If you were to boil it down and say, this is kind of my heart, this is the takeaway I hope people that visit the site, that they come away with.
Really, it's just, I hope they go away with a level of thinking it's a level of authenticity, because for me, that's really important. I try to always stay true to who I am, the kind of travel I like, giving the tips and advising people. So I hope that people will come and read my content and be, say, okay, she's been there, she's done that, she's not fake. I think that's authenticity for me is really, really important, really.
You're also making me think about, in the beginning, you had said you started the blog as a hobby, you put it out there, you started getting some validation and some comments. And I know on Twitter, you're a huge supporter of other bloggers and go out of your way to also help support and to encourage. Can you maybe talk a little bit about how that sort of shaped following the Rivera and the sense of being authentic and wanting to share?
Truthfully, Zan, it's just something that comes naturally to me because, the space is so big and there's so many bloggers out there, and it's hard to get to know every single blogger, of course, and we're talking through cyber, so it's not easy. But for me, it's just something that I started building up a community on Twitter, really, really great travel community there. And they almost, they become like your friends. So supporting each other, to me, is just a natural thing. I'm happy to share, comment, retweet. It is, of course, work at the end of the day, because you're taking some time. But at the end of the day, people do reciprocate. And like I said, you feel like you're getting to know people, even if you'll probably never, ever meet face to face. There is something really, something really special about that. So for me, when I'm now providing content, especially on Twitter, something, on an online platform, I'm almost writing for that community now rather than users in general, if that makes sense. I'm almost speaking to like John from Carpe Diem, or Lanny from Lanny Travels, or from Doug at Live a Memory. So yeah, it's a strange thing to say, but just by naturally supporting each other, it's something that comes naturally. And it comes through in my content and how I like to communicate and engage with everybody else.
And honestly, that's why I was so excited to have you on Wander to the Edge, because you are just so authentic and so supportive and just so real and so fun. And just having a chance to interact with you there, just so glad to get to meet you, I guess, in this forum as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's the pleasure is reciprocated, then, seriously.
And where can I get some of these pastries that we're looking at?
I am a huge foodie, so I'll be honest, I don't remember. I'm looking at them as well, thinking, here they call them pasticceria. So there's so many really, really good ones. So trust me. Oh, that's homemade. These are homemade, yeah.
This is not fair.
They were really, really good, really delicious.
This is not.
Adam was all excited to have you on because he thought flash packing was the same way that he packs for a trip, where he just opens the backpack, throws a bunch of stuff in, and he's done.
Right.
So
I'm sure.
I'm done in a flash.
Do you know, I'm really sure there are people who define it like that. I'm pretty sure. That's why I wanted to say that that's how I define flash packing. Yeah, but I'm sorry, Adam, for me, it's not just, 30 seconds and then out the door.
Yeah. What is traveling if you don't think to yourself, well, shoot, I should have brought that?
Yeah, and also, no, I have to say as well that flash packing, it doesn't mean that, that person is a high maintenance person. It's just the style of travel. So they might just have a little trolley, but they want to have that little luxury of, okay, I want to treat myself to this nice boutique hotel. I want to try glamping. I want to do something nice for me. So that's, I guess a lot of it is about self-love, if I can use that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's for people who are high maintenance, it is perfect for Zan.
Will you stop? I am not high maintenance, just so you know.
Oh no!
When we went away for our anniversary
get Anya on here. Let's ask her.
I'm just saying, Anya's at school.
Okay. On a Saturday, that's weird.
Small carry-on bag. One small carry-on bag, and that was it. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that's good. Adam's like not convinced.
Yeah.
No.
Listen, what a great day. What a great thing to do on a Saturday, whether you're watching this on Saturday or in the days after it is broadcast. Everybody, you're a part of this family. And, today getting a chance to meet Lisa is wonderful. And then to hear her talking about our other friends, other people that have been on the show, but people that we also know. And it's a privilege and a great opportunity for us to be able to do this. And like Zan has really always emphasized, and she's really the one that came up with the hashtag friends talking travel, because that's what we're doing. We're talking travel here, but the thing that makes the show work and makes it interesting is that we're friends and we're getting to know people, and your platform is awesome. Your story is amazing. Your content is great. And your love for Italy and for travel and for people and for languages is all really inspiring. So thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. Really, really was an honor.
We enjoyed it as well. And then, speaking of friends, talking travel, we're going to do something a little bit different next time. So when you tune in next Saturday, we're actually going to have a bunch of friends joining us. And we're, per insistence, we're going to talk a little bit about football and what that means in terms of our individual teams and our affinities and where we've gone and the impact there. So we're going to have Buddy, the traveling monkey. We're going to have Live a Memory. We're going to have Gibby. We're going to have Tom Thrash. We're going to have Krista Muscarella. We're going to have a whole bunch of folks. So make sure you tune into that next Saturday right here on Wander to the Edge.
We'll see you then.